I feel like diet culture sets you up to never be good enough.
Did you burn 500 calories on the treadmill today? No? Me either.
I mean, anybody can sit with us. We're just really not about diet culture.
But literally, happiness doesn't come from a low-calorie, high-intensity life. I actually do like carrots.
I do too. They're my favorite.
Welcome to the Fit Fueled Free podcast.
So basically, diets suck.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 44. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jenna.
And today we're doing another episode in our new series of quarantine chats. But I recently had some articles shared with me that I thought would be super relevant to everyone right now. So Jenna and I wanted to touch base on those. So the first one is titled, "Why Am I So Tired?" And it's from parasolwellness.com. So basically this one walks you through explaining how our brains work with trauma, because I know Jenna had mentioned a few weeks ago feeling extra tired, and we've been talking about that, but I think that's something that so many people are experiencing, even just like doing less, being more exhausted. So this article explains how our amygdala in our brain is the part that is scanning our surroundings for danger. So when that gets kicked off by something, our sympathetic nervous system causes our body to respond to that threat. So that's where we get the increased heart rate, the breathing, and that's where that flight or freeze response comes. And so this article notes, and I think this is probably, like, if anyone's taken anatomy, we probably learned some about the brain. Obviously, if you have a background in psychology, you're going to know this, but I don't think we really know too much. The average person, we don't talk about our brain functioning, but this is so interesting because they remind us here that our body doesn't know if something is a perceived threat or a real threat. And so something that is outside of our control can set this off. So the thing is that this is meant to protect us from a temporary threat so that we can respond in some way. But when there's an ongoing threat, our brain has trouble returning to calm. So they describe it as a smoke alarm. So imagine that someone has pulled the smoke detector and it's stuck in the on position. So the alarm is blaring, lights are flashing, and no matter what you do to put out the fire, there's no shutting the thing off, and this is your brain under traumatic stress. Yeah. So that explains chronic exhaustion, because even if you're doing nothing, your body is likely to some degree experiencing this unknown and this perceived and real threat. It's both, I would say. And so it's just very triggering, and it is the definition of chronic trauma. Jenna, what did you call it? Collective trauma?
Yeah, we're all going through a collective trauma.
Yeah. So I know, like, it's helpful to focus on the positives, but I just really like knowing the facts. Like, it really helps me to know that it's okay.
Yeah.
Not that we encourage anyone judging themselves anyway, but just to know it's literally neuroscience. Like, this is how our brains work. So it's pretty crazy too, because they were talking about how communities have like hurricanes or tornadoes or things like that, but with what's going on with the coronavirus, there's no end in sight. And so that just makes it like worse. So they Harvard researchers have measured a woman waiting on the results of a biopsy, her stress versus an actual diagnosed person living with breast cancer. And they said that their levels were significantly higher in stress waiting for the results than they were with the one actually diagnosed with cancer. And I bet that would not be, if you had to like pick between those, like I would have picked the person with cancer. Because we always say to each other, like, oh, like, don't worry until you have to worry. But like, they tested their stress levels and their hormones. So
Yeah.
That's pretty striking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the uncertainty of things, because like our brains can handle like an end date or like factual evidence, but when there's like an unknown, or like you were saying with the tornadoes and the hurricanes, that's like, okay, you know it's going to happen, but there's like an end date to it. Like the traumatic event is like time bound, but like when you're functioning and operating in a realm of like not knowing when something's going to happen or when there's going to be a change, it's almost worse, because you're constantly in a high stress state anticipating another change, but don't know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I agree. Neuroscience is so fascinating.
Yeah, the brain is wild.
So then the article goes on to say, as if the trauma weren't enough, our normalcy has been completely pulled out from under us. So just mentioning seniors missing graduations, couples postponing weddings, babies being born to parents who must take them home in quarantine from family and friends who would have come to shower them and support them previously, all that kind of stuff that we're missing. And it's a grief. And that's why it's like,
it's grieving.
Frustrating to hear, oh, like it could be worse. And if that's your method of coping, I certainly don't want to step on your toes, but I'm just like, no, like everyone's allowed to be upset right now. Like, yes, we will keep moving, but like, yeah, like this freaking sucks. Like it's okay to be not okay. Mm-hmm. I feel like I just personally can't stress that enough. And so she just continues, I'll put the link to this in the episode show notes, but just saying basically like, any way you feel, whether you're crying all the time, whether you're laughing all the time, whether you're happy about things that are going on due to this that are benefiting you, or you're devastated by things, like they're all normal. There's no right or wrong way to feel. And so just trying to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And of course that always resonates, because that's like one of my favorite things to say and try and work on is giving grace. So yeah. Is there any other thoughts that you wanted to note on this one, Jen?
Yeah, a little bit. There's Jets. I think just to piggyback off of what you said about like extending grace to yourself, like I remember at the very beginning of this, like I've shared that I had no motivation and I was feeling like frustrated and angry. And then because I was feeling that, I was getting even more frustrated and angry at myself for feeling frustrated and angry and not motivated. And like being really, just like down on myself about it. But the article says like perfectly that like the feelings that we feel as we navigate this new world, whether like you kind of touched on, it's anger, frustration, exhaustion, confusion, depression, anxiety, just to name a few, all fall under the collective umbrella of like grief. So just to like use it as a reminder, like if you're feeling those things, to like not get frustrated with yourself for the way that you're dealing it, because you can't really expect how your brain and how you emotionally are going to handle something that you've never walked through before. And so everyone's kind of navigating new territory. And I think just kind of like self-acceptance and compassion and grace is going to be really crucial as you continue to move forward, because you can't really like shame yourself for handling it in the way that you're handling it when it's a completely new element of all of our lives that we're going through.
Yeah. There's been certain moments where I just like get overwhelmed with this sense of needing to cry, but I have nothing that I can pinpoint that I need to cry about. And I'm a pretty emotional and in tune with my emotions person, but I don't usually just like cry about nothing. Sometimes I'll get to the point where I haven't cried in a bit, and it's that sensation of like, oh, I need to cry now.
Yeah.
But this is different. I don't know if this makes any sense, but I feel it like sitting on my shoulders. Like I feel it in my throat, and I feel it just sitting like here, and I've never felt that before. So it's super weird because it just comes out of nowhere, and I'm just like, I can't explain to you what I feel, but I just do not like this.
Yeah, I get it. I think a lot of people are probably feeling that way too. I mean, I've been more, any little thing now, like even watching a show that's like face or false reality, I catch myself being way more like emotionally responsive to it and will cry at the snap of a finger, whereas before I wouldn't. And I'm like, I think it's just because everyone's on, like, I'm on edge. We're all on like a little bit of an emotional edge, and there's a lot of feelings, and sometimes they just come out for no reason.
Yeah. And I just like send so much compassion to anybody who is like going through anything additional.
Yeah.
So typically we're not just sitting around, everything's perfect, but you know, there's those different phases of our life where things are going better than others, and to get stuck in this chronic collective trauma while you're working on things, like it can seem pretty hopeless, but it will change one day. It's just trying to survive and be allowing yourself to deal with the uncomfortable feelings. And obviously if it becomes, you know, a risk to your safety, reaching out for help and being able to talk about it is clearly going to be recommended and important.
Yeah.
Shall we, before I start bawling my eyes out, shall we transition over to the other article?
Yeah, the Zoom one.
Yeah. So this one is why Zoom is terrible. And this one had some really excellent points. Do you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah. I'm pulling it up. Okay. So this one, like Danielle said, talks about why Zoom has actually been really terrible for like the emotional state of a majority of us who are using it on a day-to-day basis. And first it like talked about like the actual way that like your face is arranged in like the grid of the Zoom call. And it said that the problem is that the way the video images are digitally encoded and decoded, altered and adjusted, patched and synthesized introduces all kinds of artifacts, blocking, freezing, blurring, jerkiness, and out of sync audio. These disruptions, some below our conscious awareness, confound perception and scramble subtle social cues. Our brains strain to fill in the gaps and make sense of the disorder, which makes us feel vaguely disturbed, uneasy, and tired without quite knowing why. And so I just reading through it, I was like, this is super interesting because it was talking about how it's causing people to be like hyper focused and aware of like how you like individually look, because when you're like talking to someone in person, obviously their face is not a mirror, so you can't see your own reaction. And so that's more of like the personal, intimate connection that you have in face-to-face interaction when you're in person. But with these Zoom calls, one, you can't read like the authentic expressions of emotion like from somebody else. But two, like it messes with your own perception of yourself. And so it was saying how like people are like getting super caught up in like how they look, or like finding the perfect angle, or like how the lighting makes you look. And as I was reading this, I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm guilty of that. Because like you don't even realize it, but when your face is right in front of you, just like if you're looking in a mirror, you're going to look at yourself. And so it kind of also takes away like the personal interaction as well, because instead of focusing on the individual and the person that you're talking with, you're focusing on, okay, how do I look? How am I coming across? And kind of like scrutinizing the way that you look. And I think that probably especially can relate to some of the people who listen to our podcasts, because we cover issues like the body image issues and stuff. And so constantly, if you're working and you're like constantly in meetings, it probably is, perpetuating the issue and making it a little bit harder for people. It's like being in front of a mirror almost all day, which I've shared how that was super hard for me when I was working at a gym, just standing in front of a mirror. And now you're having to constantly look at yourself and listen to yourself through a video screen.
And there's so much pressure. This isn't stated exactly in the article, but like pressure to make sure you look good enough on the other side of the screen. And like I've seen so many people using that ring light that everyone uses for TikTok now, to make themselves look better. And there's like tutorials. Apparently there's filters you can put on yourself. Somehow, I'm pretty sure, unless it was a joke. I saw an article about it and I doubt that was a joke. I don't know how you do it, but I definitely saw that. So I don't know if you have to have it, like I don't have Zoom downloaded. I'm just using like a window, so I don't have like the app on my phone or my computer. So I don't know, but anyway, it's just like everything is filtered and everything. So it's like when you're staring at yourself, it's hard not to want it to be the perfect image. And that definitely, like you said, compounds on the issues we already have with being obsessed about what we look like.
In the article, I'm also reading a part right here. It says that it almost like creates like a lack, well, like we said, like a lack of intimacy, but like almost distrust, because like, since you can't technically look one another like in the eye directly through a screen, like depending on the camera angle, like you don't know where someone's looking. They could be looking down, they could be looking up to the side at their phone. And then like the person on the other end may perceive that as like the other person being uninterested or like not wanting to like be present in that conversation. And that, I mean, there's multiple, consequences of that, but it can be like hurtful for even just like something as simple as like a relationship or a friendship. Like we know that there's not as much intimacy through a freaking screen. And the article was even saying how like even talking on the phone is almost better because you're not looking at yourself and you're not having to try and guess or like read someone's vibe or their like facial expression.
Yeah.
It's super interesting.
There's definitely pros to this. Obviously, it's helped us continue functioning semi, but it's just interesting because it seems like with everything with technology that we get like an improvement on or an increase on, we find out about all these things that actually don't really help us to like get better and to come back to our bodies and like our connection with people. So just kind of, I think, not obviously something to be like, oh, well, can't use Zoom because it's destroying me, but just be aware of it because we don't really have a choice right now, but just trying to be extra diligent about caring for yourself. Because the exhaustion and like I've had a lot of headaches and it's just it's very real. So just wanted to throw out some of that in case anyone hadn't read something similar, because it's nice to be normalized. And kind of know how things are working. So how have you been? What have you been up to?
I know. What updates do I have since our last little chat? The last week Landon's birthday is tomorrow. So I've been trying to plan that. I won't share too much because he's in the other room and I don't want him to hear, but it's very difficult to plan a birthday for someone who I generally gift him with like an experience over an actual tangible gift because he likes memories and stuff. So every year I give him like tickets to a concert or we'll take a quick little, like a short trip. And this year it's like, well, we're stuck at home. So my past week has been trying to plan and organize something that feels a little bit special since we've been at home, obviously every day for the last however many weeks. I'll
be excited to hear how that goes.
Yes, I can keep you posted and let you guys know next week what I come up with for anyone else who might be in need of some quarantine inspiration.
That's awesome.
But that's really the newest stuff that I've been up to. What about you?
Yeah, not a whole lot going on. I ordered myself some, I don't know if they're acrylic or what, but they're reusable, glue-on nails.
Cute.
And haven't done this since I was in middle school, but I was like getting desperate for a manicure. So I've been getting these advertisements from Instagram that actually like suit my life. So I think I saw them there, but they're only $15 for the set, and they're supposed to be reusable, and it comes with the glue and everything, the buffer and all. So
how long have they been on for?
For 48 hours. But apparently they stay on for weeks if you glue them well enough. I accidentally put on too much glue because I didn't really know what I was doing. And there was glue like all over the tips of my fingers. It's come off now, but I was picking at it and I straight like split my skin apart on my finger. So yeah, don't pick at glue on your skin in that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but no, we're doing pretty good. So it feels nice to have my nails done.
Yeah, I've been doing a self tanner recently, which I don't normally do, but it's been something that I like look forward to because I'm like, how can I do like a little fun self-care thing? Because usually this time of the year, I'm at the beach every weekend.
Yeah.
And I thrive and like live for when I can be tan because it makes me feel better. And also like it actually helps my psoriasis a lot, like being in the sun. Yeah. So every year I'm like, I can't wait for summer to like go out in the sun. And granted, I could do it I could like tan in my backyard, but the weather has been actually like particularly cold for this time of year here. Which Danielle and we actually had a socially distant bonfire over the weekend with our husbands, and it's May and we were in like boots and like I wore like a Patagonia sweater and I was like, what is life? This is like fall weather for us.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get our summer back here shortly.
I know.
We've been making some really good meals lately because last 2 weeks, I guess I didn't do a good job of planning what we were going to make out of the food we had because we ate out. Like we got takeout like 4 or 5 times because we were just like not interested in what we had in the house. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this time I'm going to be like super diligent about stuff that's delicious and that'll work. So far we've made this ground turkey taco skillet.
Ooh.
So I think it was supposed to be beef, but I used ground turkey, peppers, onions, black beans, rice, salsa, a bunch of seasonings, and some cheese on top. And we just ate that with some sour cream because my avocados aren't ripe yet. But tonight we're going to do some baked potatoes and put that in like a chili stuffing. And then I think my avocados are ripe. So it's going to be like a Mexican stuffed baked potato.
Oh, that sounds so good.
So we'll see how that comes out. But yeah, and then Matt made it, a chicken mac and cheese, but it had spinach and roasted sun-dried tomatoes, not roasted, sun-dried tomatoes, and it had a little bit of spice in it, and oh my gosh, it was so delicious. So I'm very excited. We're making naan pizza. What else? Tortellini with broccoli and something else, but I can't remember right now. But I'm pretty pumped about our food this week.
Yeah, it sounds like a good list. Yeah, Landon made like stuffed peppers the other night or last week. Those turned out really well. Well, actually, I guess that was 2 weeks ago because he planned our meals last week as well. And we've been doing like Walmart pickup. And I guess if they like don't have what you normally want, they give you like substitutes. And so he needed like the round peppers to like stuff, but I guess they were out. So we got home and ended up with like 10 super long ones. So they were like a circle, and he was so mad because he was like, we can't do the stuffed peppers. So he ended up doing like, he tried to do like a pepper boat, like, but it didn't really work, but it's okay. He's still been bringing all of our food to Flavortown, which is what he says.
Guy Fieri.
Took it to Flavortown. Yep. Because I guess I don't do a very good job of that. And then he's made like a Tuscan pasta that was really good with like tomatoes and peppers and Parmesan cheese. And he made the sauce, I guess, called for like a cottage cheese sauce, but I cannot stand cottage cheese. So he like modified and used Greek yogurt, and it tasted really good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Work.
Yeah. Then yeah, it's my turn again this week for meals, and we're back to like very boring, like don't have much to show for, so I can't really add to that. But Landon's the creative cook out of the two of us, so look forward to the nights that he takes the reins in the kitchen.
Yeah. I like when Matt cooks the food. It usually comes out better, unless I follow a recipe to a T, but I don't usually do that.
Yeah.
I got some of those cognac noodles, cognac root.
Huh.
They're like the miracle noodles that have like no calories in them, only because a lot of people eat them, and I want to know if they actually taste good or if it's just like a diet culture trick.
Yeah.
But I haven't ever bought them. But I'm gonna try them out at some point and just see.
How do you spell that? I don't think I've ever heard of them.
I could be saying it wrong. Let me see.
Where'd you get? You just found it at like a regular grocery store?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or shirataki noodles is another one.
Interesting.
Oh, I guess that's the same thing. It's Konjac. It's the same thing. Shirataki noodles or cognac or konjac. I don't know how you say that. But they are like really high fiber. And they're mostly water, so they don't really have carbs. So that's why a lot of people use them to be low calorie and low carb for pasta. But I'm just like not 100% convinced that they actually are going to taste good. So I'm curious about it.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how that goes.
Yeah, just every now and then I like to try stuff just to see what people are up to. I really actually liked those gluten-free graham cracker cookies that we got.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Usually gluten-free products are not my favorite, but that's such a great option for anyone that can't have gluten. They actually were pretty good.
I couldn't really even tell.
Yeah. I was thinking they might be terrible, but they actually surprised me pleasantly.
Yeah, they were good.
So yeah, I think I made some brownies from Rachel's Good Eats, and they tasted delicious, but they didn't. They like kept crumbling, and everyone wrote reviews on the website that they did that. So her stuff is always amazing. Like it tasted so good, but I was like, dang, like they don't stay together. So I made some chocolate frosting and like threw it in there to try and make cake pops, but then they were too frostingy. So I froze some of them. And then I put some in like cups to eat. And we ate them with animal crackers, and it was so good.
Ooh.
But it was an adventure because that was not how I intended them to come out, but it worked out. It was just a weird concoction that I ended up making.
Yeah, I've been trying to bake more, but did I tell you about my coconut flour debacle?
I think so.
I don't remember if I talked about it on here. I made someone's recipe. It was like a cookie something, and it had like almond flour, but I didn't have it. So I was like, oh, I'll sub coconut flour, and it was literally like grainy, like it fell apart. And I didn't realize that coconut flour is.
Huh. Well, I used almond flour in those brownies, and it like came apart. So I don't know. I don't know what
I did something
differently from her.
Yeah.
Actually, I think she called for a different kind of flour. I was like, I could be wrong, but it seems like most non-flour, like wheat flour flours are the same texture, but there must be something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting, but they were super tasty. We went to Brewster's on Mother's Day because the drive-through, and we had to wait for 40 minutes.
There were that many people there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We actually, they were supposed to close at 8, and we actually didn't get through the line till 8:10 because it was so long and there were so many people behind us. So I don't know how long they stayed open, but that's the second time in like a week that we've waited for 40 minutes for ice cream. And I just find that so funny that like we literally have nothing else we have to be doing. We can wait that long for ice cream.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We had brunch on Mother's Day. Actually, we got that idea from you guys because you guys said you're going to do that. And we surprisingly didn't have to wait that long. Landon, it was from my favorite place in the area, and Landon had looked it up, and on their website it said like you need to order like days in advance. But we like went for a run that morning, and then he called them afterwards, and they're like, yeah, it can be ready in like 15 minutes. And we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, ours was 20. I texted you that. But yeah, that wasn't bad at all for Mother's Day morning.
Yeah, I was super surprised because usually like restaurants are bumping on Mother's Day because none of the moms want to cook.
Yeah. That was enjoyable. It's so nice to get your favorite meals from your restaurants.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that for dinner for Landon's birthday tomorrow night.
Nice.
We'll see.
Have you guys eaten from that new Mexican restaurant? I know this is not relevant to anyone who doesn't live in Virginia Beach, but the one in Town Center? Well, you should get food from there because it's freaking delicious.
Which one is it?
Cantina Laredo.
Oh, no, I haven't tried it.
It's so good. Highly recommend. It took 2 hours on Cinco de Mayo for us to get that.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but it didn't say that when you ordered, but I was like, I should have known. But it was fine. It was so good.
Yeah. Dang.
So yeah, I feel like that's kind of the main update in my life.
Do you feel like you've settled into like a new normal now? You feel like you're in your groove?
I do, but I know when we're going back to work, so I feel weird now because I'm like anticipating that and preparing for change. So I feel like I had started to. I still have several weeks before anything's going to change, but I'm just like
to have a date.
It feels weird. Yeah. So what about you?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like I'm kind of like settled, but I know it's probably going to change here. I don't have an exact date yet because I know, originally things were supposed to start opening back up this week. But, I don't know. I feel like I'm now in anticipation again of like, okay, when is it going to like change? Whereas for a while it was like, this is where we were going to be for a good little bit. So I had finally adjusted, and now I'm like, oh crap, here we go.
Yeah. It will be strange.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening today. And we hope that you're doing well and hanging in there. And just again, remember, like, it's okay not to be okay right now. And always, but if you could give us a rating and review on iTunes, that would be great. Help us to reach more people. You can find what we're up to on our shared Instagram account at Fit Fueled Free. My personal page is DMarliaL, and Jenna's is JennaFit. We also have our Gmail account, fitfueledfree@gmail.com, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns for us. And we've been posting our videos on YouTube ever since episode 39. So if you want to watch instead of just listen while we're doing these recordings over Zoom, those are available as well. So have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.